Welcome back to the Advent of Sintran. This is 2025, day 4. It's 7 p.m. here, so I'm like 19 hours late from the release of the puzzle. But I did sleep for like 8 hours last night, so that was nice. Let me check my stream, make sure I'm actually live and my audio is actually working, because I just never trust it. I don't remember what mistakes I've made. I've probably gone through like an entire stream without audio or without video. I think I did a stream without audio once, and that's like as bad as it can possibly get. No video, it's like at least you can still talk. Like you don't really need to see my face here. There's not much going on with my face. But yeah, no audio is a killer, so that seems to be working. I think we're good to go. So I'm ready to download my input. I haven't looked at day 4 yet, so I'm 19 hours late, but it's like it's brand new as far as I'm concerned. So let's download this. All right, we've got dots and ats. Are there any other characters in there? Let's edit my template, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Just zoomed out so I could fit everything in the screen. It's 136 by 136. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Is this a maze? Let's look at the puzzle and get the test input. Rolls of paper and forklifts. Ooh, is this like that crate moving problem from some other year? I don't know if it was last year. I did so many older years within the past year that I really have no idea which puzzles were actually from last year or which puzzles I've just done recently, but they were from an older year. There was some puzzle where you had to like push. No, like you were an automaton and you were controlled by like left, right, up, down instructions in the input. And then I think the input also had a grid kind of like this. So as you moved, you were pushing these guys around in whichever direction you were moving. And at some point, like you could get stuck and then you would just not move until the next instruction. That one, I even remember part 2. Part 2 is like 2 of them are attached together. So like this one would be attached to the one on the left. And then if you hit it from the bottom, you slide both of them up. So I remember part 2 being pretty tricky there. Maybe that was last year. I think it was. I think I streamed that. Yeah, so anyway, this vaguely reminds me of that, but I have no idea because I haven't read the puzzle yet. Hey, Vision for All. I'm finally catching up here with day 4. Forklifts, big rolls of paper. Optimize the forklifts. So the ats are rolls of paper. Fewer than 4 in the 8 adjacent positions. Fewer than 4, so it must be counting diagonals. Otherwise you can't get up to 8. Well, yeah, 8 adjacent positions means including diagonals. I just have to figure out which ones can be accessed. Well, part 1 sounds easy, if I understand it correctly. Okay. So we just have to count the neighbors of each at. Okay, I think I didn't save the test input yet. Or I did. Never mind. Well, I actually didn't save it. I just saved the file there. But I had copied and pasted it. So this should echo the input file. What are we on, day 4? Okay. I forgot that I had this helper function. Was it day 3 where we had the grid of numbers, but we processed them like one row at a time? The battery joltage thing. I forgot that I have this helper function that can read a grid from a file. So that is in my utils, and we have read care mat. That would have helped at least a little bit. Yeah, and there's also read I32 mat. Oh, but this is for delimited, so that wouldn't have helped me. And this one has custom delimiters. Well, I could have at least loaded the whole file as a character string. I don't know if that would have helped that much. Parsing really wasn't that hard on day 3, but there is this helper function, and I'm definitely going to use it today. So it just takes the file name. I'm going to have G for my grid, read care mat, file name, F. Okay, F was my file handle. I was like, I thought I had F, not file name, but one is a string, the other is a file handle. So file name is a string, and I'm pretty sure that's what this function takes. So let's echo that grid. It should be this, but like comma separated and wrapped in square brackets. I need let. I have to declare that variable. Okay, so that's my grid. And now I just have to count the neighbors, the number of neighbors of each including, like if we were looking at this one, we would count these 3 and these 2, not including itself, and then these 3. So those are 8 total, not including the one in the middle. Size G0, G1, and then loop through space. There are going to be like 4 nested loops here. What are we actually trying to calculate? How many can be accessed? And accessed means there are fewer than 4. That's less than 4, not less than or equal to 4. Okay, so this loops through every point, and now we need to iterate over the neighbors of the point. So we're going to call that like xn and yn for x neighbor and y neighbor. Main loop, and then I don't know. Don't necessarily need comments. Do I want to go from -1? No, I think I want like absolute coordinates, not relative coordinates. From max, and then you don't want to go out of bounds. So max x minus 1. Oh, max of that and what? So max of 0, so this clamps it. Oh, you used a dictionary. I do have dictionaries. I think I just implemented this last year. Before that, I did not have dictionaries. So like I would always have to work around things to do something with an array. And there are some problems where for performance, you basically need a dictionary. So I was kind of screwed on those problems until I finally implemented hash maps in Syntran last year. And this is commented out, so I'm not actually including this, but it's there if I need it. Still, this is, like, in my opinion, definitely an array problem. I guess dictionaries, you don't have to worry about the out of bounds problem. So this clamps to 0, and then x, I want to inclusively go up to x plus 1. So I'm actually going to do x plus 2, I think. And then max nx. Or min nx. Okay, so that's the x neighbor loop, and then we need a y loop as well. I actually want to transpose these because it's more efficient if you do the x loop as the inner loop. That's not how you spell neighbors. N, the extra n is for number of neighbors. And then we don't want to count itself. So if x is xn and y is yn, we're just going to skip that loop. And then n neighbors if grid xn yn equals at, then we'll increment the number of neighbors. Let's just see what that is. There should be 13 that are less than 4. Heterogeneous. It doesn't need to be, but just so everything... Actually, let's just cast it here. I need like a size 32 function that just returns and casts the size of an array to 32 bits. Because usually I don't need 64 bits. Like, in general, sometimes you might need 64, so the default has to be 64. Yeah, and then I don't need to cast this. Types are such a pain. Maybe Python was right. Okay, I don't know. Are 13 of these less than or equal to 3? Looks reasonable, and nothing crashed. So we need the number that are accessible, and that's going to be the answer. So if n neighbors is less than 4, sum gets incremented. And that should be, what is it, 13? That's not right. I think I need to make a modified grid and print out these X's so I can visually debug. So this is going to be the modified grid, and we're going to fill it in with X's under this condition. X, Y equals X. Is that what they used here? Yeah, they put in X's. And then I think I have a helper function for this, print care mat. This takes a reference, I think. Okay, so that prints the array without commas as delimiters. So I definitely got some extra X's here. Oh, fewer than 4. Oh, yeah, it's only if the current character is an at. If G X Y equals not equals at, just in case I have some other character, then we're gonna skip all of that. Okay, that's the sample. That's correct for the sample. Let's try it on the real input. I've got a good feeling about this. Okay, let's see how bad part 2 is. Okay, now we just have to do it iteratively until we can't remove anymore. But does it matter what order you do this in? Does it? That's the question. Does it matter which order you remove things in? I don't think it does. Because it's not like it has to have exactly 3 neighbors. It just has to have less than 4 neighbors. So I don't think the order matters. If the order mattered, you would have to do some sort of like depth first search of trying to remove things in every possible order. And that could be tricky, and it might be very expensive. So you might need something more clever than depth first search. But my intuition says that it doesn't matter what order you do it in. You have to remove until there is something to remove. Yeah, the order is not important. Yep. So you don't have to do anything clever. You can just remove in any order and then iterate. And this grid isn't that big. So like ideally you should keep a list of only the positions that are filled and only iterate over those. But I'm just going to iterate over everything, even the dots, and iterate over them multiple times. So this isn't going to be efficient, but the input just isn't that big, so I feel like it doesn't matter. Yeah, so we're going to do that. We're going to copy part 1 to part 2. Just a little bit. I regret not staying up to midnight to do this because this doesn't seem that hard. But like I really needed to sleep. I was running on like less than or equal to 6 hours of sleep every night for 3 nights in a row. So on day 4, I think I needed a break. Yeah, so I really don't need the original grid and the modified grid. This was only for debugging part 1 before I figured out my mistake. So I can delete this. And then what are we actually looking for? How many roles can be removed? Okay, so my template that I copy every day, it just uses sum as the answer. So I'm going, like, even though we're counting the number of things that are removed, I'm not going to change this variable name. I'm just going to leave it as sum. So we're going to have the number of things that have been removed so far. And then we're also going to have the number of things that have been removed on the previous iteration. And that's going to get initialized to -1. And then we're going to iterate while these are different. So we're just taking part 1 and putting it in a big outer loop. And each of these just has one statement below it, so I only need the one pair of braces. It's like C or C++, the brace rules. They're optional if you only have one statement below it. So here we're going to update. Well, okay, so immediately I want another set of braces because I need to do other stuff at the top of this while loop, or maybe you could put it at the bottom, but I would rather put it at the top. So first we're going to update the previous sum. And then I think this logic can be the same. I think all of this stuff can be the same, but we need to modify the grid as we're going. So if we find something that can be removed, we're just going to remove it immediately. So xy equals dot. We're not going to fill it in with an x, just a dot this time. I don't think it matters. So we're expecting 43 for the test input. So let's go back to the test input. And do we get that? I did not run part 2, so I have to uncomment this. 43. Okay, let's do the real input. That was the right answer, wasn't it? I forget already. Yep, 43. Okay. So real input. It takes a little bit, partially because there's a lot of logging. 8345. Okay, how long did that take? Been streaming for 23 minutes. So just going by time, that was easier than, I don't know, maybe I have to look at my YouTube channel. That was easier than day 2 and day 3. 2 is the one that I struggled with because I just got unlucky and picked the wrong algorithm. And then that algorithm that I used for part 1 ended up not working for part 2. And even day 3 took me like half an hour, I think. Let's look at my YouTube channel to see the actual times. So yeah, 45 minutes on day 2 where I really struggled. 38 minutes. I don't know why that was. Yeah, I think it did take me like 30 or 31 minutes just to solve them. And then maybe I spent a few extra minutes talking like before the puzzle came out at midnight. Day 1 wasn't bad. This is like the same time that I've spent today. So yeah, I almost regret not staying up to midnight to do that. But I think I needed the sleep. Thanks, Vision for All. Tonight, on the other hand, in Vision for All, I think you're in Europe, so you're probably going to go to bed soon anyway. But tonight, I think I will stay up until midnight and do day 5 as soon as it releases. It might start getting hard, so maybe I'll only do part 1. But I think I'll at least attempt part 1 and stream again in like 4.5 hours from now. I had some trouble yesterday finding anyone to raid, but I have to commit first. So hold on. Let me commit what I did. I want to clean up the logging. So it took like a few seconds to run. And I think that's just because I'm printing like a bunch of stuff in this triple nested loop. So let's just not do that before I commit. Okay, that should be cleaner. Still takes a few seconds. Maybe only like 2 seconds. Not as bad as when there was all that logging. So almost 3 seconds. Not great. Of course, as you're removing these rolls of paper, you get fewer and fewer things that you should need to iterate over. So part 2 would be a lot more optimal if you just kept track of where these were and only iterated over those positions. It wouldn't be that hard. You would just have to make one more array, and then maybe also a Boolean array, because maybe actually a queue would be the best data structure. You would want to put these into a queue and then pop them off as you remove them. But you're not... Yeah, you're not always removing from one end, so that gets tricky. But yeah, that would be one optimization that you can make. But 3 seconds isn't bad, especially for a terribly slow interpreted language like Syndran. So I'm not going to bother optimizing. You visualized the map, but it was, oh yeah, it was not a meme. Not like the one that I did yesterday, or that Christmas tree puzzle where there was a picture from a few years ago. So I think I added, oh yeah, and then I got rid of the logging. So add AOC 2025 day 4. Let me check that. 2025 day 4. There it is. All right, let's see if there's anyone rateable. Ah, CM Griffin. I think there's nobody else doing advent code though, so I think we're gonna have that same problem as last night. Solving my haystack problem. I don't know what this is. Oh, somebody's doing advent code. There we go, that's relevant. I kind of want to wait until the ads finish before I start the raid so I can see what the stream is doing. They've been going for 4.5 hours. I would be getting tired at that point. I can barely stream more than an hour. At like the 2 hour mark, I'm pretty much done. I can't talk anymore.